and the big military powers saying, our companies are not going to go down. Now you got to keep that spirit of war up now, see? So you are the pawns in all of this. The media drumming it up. And nobody that had a serious voice of questioning, they cut them off immediately. And, you know, some very good Christians, like Billy Graham's son. I mean, that's big when you come from Billy Graham. And he spoke something very ugly about Islam. And so did Reverend Falwell. The God of Islam is a God of hate. And the God of Christianity is a God of love. Ask them black people who died in the South and all the people that are dying all over the world from so-called Christians. It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. This brother just needed a little water. He'll be all right. Leave him alone. He's good. See him getting up. Don't lose your attention over here. We got somebody to handle that over there. But I'm almost where I want to be. Now, I'd like to take you to Asia a minute. Let's go to Indonesia. Now, right here in Indonesia, a lot of islands. This is one of the largest concentrations of Muslims in the world. There was a leader here called President Sukarno. He's a strong nationalist. And in 1955, that man, Sukarno, called what is called the Dung Conference, where all the darker nations of the earth were invited, and no European nation was invited. No white people invited to that at all. Now that sent a strong signal to Europe and America. What are they talking about? That we can't come. Well, they were talking about you. Well, that's what they were doing. Then, notice this. Sukarno was overthrown, and a man by the name of Suharto came to power. And as I asked President Wahid, former president of Indonesia, I had read that over 500,000 Indonesians lost their lives from the CIA stuff. And President Wahid said, no, it was more close to 1 million. Now, you want to know why people in the world hate? You don't understand the dirt that goes on in your name. And that's why the American people have to be awakened. Am I upsetting you? You know, I'm not trying to upset you. But now that they've destroyed the Taliban, Mr. Karzai, whom America set up, he now will get the carpet of gold. And let's see if that pipeline won't come through Afghanistan. It's all about oil and power. Now I'd like to close this so-called war on terrorism gives every repressive regime in the world a hiding place, because all they have to do is say, I'm fighting terrorism. Now, brothers and sisters, there is a difference between a terrorist and a freedom fighter. You have to know the difference. If you were a slave master, Nat Turner was what? I said if you were a slave master, Nat Turner was a terrorist. But to the slave, he's a freedom fighter. If you were in Haiti, when Napoleon sent his armies there, to Napoleon in France, Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines and Christophe were terrorists. But to the people of Haiti, freedom fighters. If you were a part of the Crown of England, Paul Revere, the Minutemen, Crispus Attucks, terrorists. But to the Americans in the colonies, these are the freedom fighters that gave you what you call the United States of America. Now, on this earth, there are regimes that are unworthy. And there are people who earnestly want to be free. And if you lived in South Africa, Mandela was a terrorist to the South African leadership. But to the suffering people, he was their champion. And that's why he's honored all over the world, because he was willing to pay a price. John Brown, a white man who hated slavery and fought against it, to the establishment, he was an enemy. But in his conscience, he died because he believed that slavery would be the undoing of America. Martin Luther King Jr. to many whites in this nation was a troublemaker. Am I lying? Some of you that got his picture on your wall today, when Martin Luther King spoke against the war in Vietnam, many preachers turned him down, turned against him, turned on him. To J. Edgar Hoover, he was an un-American and a demon. But to us, he was a freedom fighter. Malcolm X, to the government of the United States, was an enemy of America, but to us, a freedom fighter. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was called un-American and enemy, but to us, he's a freedom fighter.